June 25th, 2024. That's Doc Ellis. Jackie, YouTube. Can you get a schedule award for sprains, strains, and contusions? Sprains and strains, yes. Contusions, probably not. Contusion, you get a bruise. It hurts, but it goes away. But if you have a sprain that causes damage, then it can. A sprain and strain is whether it's a muscle or a tendon. For instance, everybody sprains their thumb playing basketball, and everybody sprains the lateral ligament of their ankle, all the time, okay? But now, most sprains, there's a stretching and it goes back to normal. Think of a sprain, strain as the box of spaghetti. You drop it on the floor and all the strands are going different ways. And then if it heals and they're all back to normal, there's no impairment, okay? But if they're loose, there's an impairment. For instance, you have a loose medial ligament in the knee. You get an impairment for that. Okay, it's a strain. It's a permanent injury. Okay, and depends on it. If it's a federal workers' comp, you do it by measurements, and VA, which is even easier. So if you had a strain that's mildly strained and loose, it's a 10% impairment. This is VA. Let me put on the VA hat. Okay, Veterans Administration. If it's moderate, it's 20. If it's severe, it's 30. So I saw that once. I got 10% for my knee. That was a meniscus or cartilage surgery. You got the 10%, that's correct. But you got screwed out of 30. You got a 30% anterior cruciate ligament strain. It takes a second to say, look at that. You're wobbly. Okay, so you didn't get anything. You got screwed out of 30. Okay, but now back to federal workers' comp. So strain and sprain, if there's permanent damage, you can get that. Now she also says I have a C5-6 impingement. That's the nerve down your thumb and index finger. Okay? I can rate that nerve down your arm. I cannot rate the neck. In federal workers' comp, you don't get a scheduled award or an impairment rating for hearts and brains and spines, because you don't need a heart, a brain, or spine to work for the federal government. No, it's a 1916 law, very, very fair, but it's just not been upgraded. The only upgrade was in 74, you get to pick your doctor, and by law, your doctor's report has more probative or legal value. So be careful who you pick to write your ratings and stuff. Okay, and an S1 ridiculopathy, that means back, down the leg into the little toe. You can be rated for that. And then she says, OWCP, Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, will not add the diagnosis because they state it's a consequential injury. Well, it may be consequential injury. Like you have a sprain of your back, and then eventually you get a disc, and eventually you have a radiculopathy. That's consequential to the sprain and looseness, but it may not be denied because it's consequential, because consequential injuries are approved. In federal workers' comp, if employment factors contribute the slightest amount, it's covered. If it aggravates a condition, the slightest amount is covered. If it's consequential, the slightest amount is covered, but you have to have a doctor write. It's more like that it's my medical opinion that it's a reasonable medical certainty, it's a probability that this was caused by that, and then it gets approved. And if not, you have your doctor do an oral hearing and talk to a human being and explain the law. Because even though I put the law and all that in my hope that people don't read it, people don't follow it. But the law for federal and VA, very, very, very fair. So you get consequential injury, and once you get that done, you can get it done. In the meantime, you get a scheduled award for, say, an S1 nerve, or the C6 nerve, and then we'll do the physical exam for the S1 nerve, and then write you a report to get the consequential S1 nerve approved, and then you come back and we do a scheduled award for your leg. And not wait for everything to get done. Start some of it. Okay, that's my Jackie. Okay, here is Joseph. Finally got my workers' comp accepted to the Department of Labor. Finally, surely it didn't take long. Okay, waiting on an MRI. I was just wondering. I want to go back to work to see if I can do my job. If for some reason I can't, can I get back on workers' comp? Yes, you can. So you're off work on temporary total disability, unable to do your job, and you're getting, if you're married or dependent, 75% of your pay, tax-free. Married, 67%. Not married, single, 67%, okay? And you go back to work, that stops. But if you have to, if then let's say you go back to work, it makes it worse, we can take you back off work again. And if it goes back to work and it actually aggravates it, you get another claim. It's hard, now we put you back on work, but your doctor needs to be working with you so he can fill out what's called a Form CA-17 or an OWCP 5C, where you go down and you write down and all the magic words that you're off work again due to this claim and the claim number, and you give the documentation the government needs. Then he puts you back on workers' comp, but they'll probably fight you. Depends on who your claims examiner is, and maybe send you a second opinion. But remember, your doctor's opinion prevails. Example, 60-year-old postal worker, hips, knees, and ankles are approved. He's on a walker, and he's getting workers' comp. And the nurse case manager wants him on retirement at 40% taxable instead of 75% non-taxable. So that's a good idea. That'll save the post office a lot of money. But why would he do that? You hired him under 1916 law. The only change is in 75 he picks his doctor. I happen to be that doctor. And I've said he can work. But with these restrictions, the post office says we don't have a job. So he gets his workers' comp. They send him to 3 different second opinions. And they're each getting $3,000 to $5,000 for a 30-minute exam saying he can work. And I agree that he can work with these restrictions. Obviously, he can't stand all day. He can't stand. He can't climb, blah, blah, blah. He can do sedentary work. We don't have a job for him, so he stays on workers' comp. And the post office, if anybody from the post office administration is listening to me, pull your head out of your ass and listen. You may think I'm the Antichrist, but you don't get a nun to put in a burglar system, you get a burglar. You are losing all this money because the claims examiner sent them to 3 different people, and there's $15,000 down the tubes that you don't have to be paying. She just did that because she has no medical training. She has a 12th grade education, or he. And you guys are doing stupid stuff. You would save for yourself a lot of money if you didn't send people to second exams. For instance, I see, let's just be honest, a large black female, and I think black's part of this equation. Pisses me off that it is. So I see her for carpal tunnel, and I rate her range of motion in the nerve. Well, 2 months later, she sees the second opinion doctor. He says the nerve no longer bothers her, and rated her just for the range of motion. I see this son of a bitch in the hall. He's in this building. I said, Sean, this is federal workers' comp. I'm going to be able to get another EMG, which is an objective test showing that nerve's involved. You've got to rate that nerve. Now, if you want to rate it 1%, that's opinion, but you can't rate it at 0. Well, he doesn't. So I see her again, and fortunately, that not only the EMG was actually worse than another nerve was there. I got another surgery for it, so it worked out real well. But anyway, so you have doctors that lie like that. White coats just do not make people honest. People that do what I do are whores. Okay? And so if you do this and you spell God They, don't do it. Because the other side's going to call you a whore. When I started doing this 50 years ago, orthopedic surgeon writes 0 for an operated back. Another doctor writes 50% for a strained back or operated back. Either one. Neither one touches the patient. They're just working for either the insurance company or a United States attorney. Okay, so now this is David. He's on the periodic roll when he's getting workers' comp. And he has to be seen once every year that you're still unable to work. He's from South Carolina. Septic claim, 3-level back fusion, world narrative, work capacity. I'm likely to be permanently totally disabled. I will be a year out from MMI for the nerve damage. I expect to be on the periodic from now on. Yeah, until you can go back to work, you stay on workers' comp. My claim is stated I will need an independent medical examiner referee exam. Okay, so she may send you to an independent referee exam to see whether you're going to be permanently off work. She's deciding whether you should go back to work or not. So your referee doctor may put you back to work. He may agree with the doctor, but do not go. Okay, you'll lose your case. Okay, So she's going to send you for another opinion, which is reasonable. All right. Okay. Here, I don't think that's unreasonable. It's a good use of money. All right. I think I'll likely be a candidate for scheduled awards. Yeah. For shoulder replacement surgeries, if that's a different part of your body, if it's a different claim than your back, absolutely you can have a scheduled award for that. Low back fusion surgery and nerve damage, and also upcoming knee replacement. If it's all the same claim, you're going to have to wait and be on workers' comp. But if it's different 3 claims, you can file scheduled awards on 2 of them and stay off work on 1 of them. And yeah. Get a permanent periodic roll now or on the scheduled awards. Now, let's say they're all on 1. So if you get a scheduled award, your check each month is the same amount. You can't really tell if it's a scheduled award or impairment rating or if it's temporary total disability periodic roll. But when the scheduled award stops, suddenly the check stopped. That's the way you know what it was. So if it's all 1 claim, you just keep getting that same amount. But if there are 3 different claims, file scheduled awards for the other 2. Okay? You stay on the periodic roll for probably your back, and then you get a scheduled award for your shoulder, and you get a scheduled award for your knee. Okay. But now, let's say that you're old, you've got cancer, and you kind of know when you're going to die. Go get a scheduled award, then pay a 4% penalty and get it as a lump sum, and pay off your house or put kids through school, whatever. That's always available to you. But it's very fair. You're just going to have someone who knows what they're doing, and not a lot of us do it because we're not trained in medical school about legal medicine. And no one wants to do federal. Okay. This is a YouTube question from the green side up. Hello, Doc Ellis. You probably won't remember, you called me back on Friday before my day praying with me, and always stays thanking he's giving me an heads up on my wife who just died, my wonderful wife of 60 years. So if you get to heaven and you see a pretty lady with a crown with a zillion jewels on it till her neck's falling sideways, those jewels were put up with me for 60 years. That's my wife, Sue. Okay. The VA's challenge report, and I have an exam later this month. We'll go to it. Now, when you go to it, find out the doctor's name, and then when you appeal it, you take my report and that doctor's report. You take my curriculum vitae off the website, and then you get their report and put it on and say, because it may be a nurse practitioner, a PA, or maybe a doctor without 6 pages of crap. Like I got 42 things on the wall, folks. They're not apples and oranges here. It's a watermelon and a pea. And just being a white coat doesn't make you eligible to do a good job. So show the VA system, if their internal doctor does it, fine. If they're that are equal. But if you can show they're not, use it. Now it depends on what state you're in. Some states are good, some states are terrible. And you may want to appeal it to the Board of Veterans Appeals. The judges are very honest. They're lawyers. They know the law is pro-veteran. Okay. In fact, I just saw a video of the head of the VA, the director. He says he's an honest guy. It just made my heart feel good. He's an honest guy. We're here to protect you. And one of the questions was, can the doctors at the VA do a DBQ for me, which is a form, or can they do a C&P exam, which is yes, they can, but they're really overworked or really low budgeted, they may not be able to. But I've known a lot of doctors say, we're not allowed to do that. Well, they're wrong. They don't know that. But do you really want a VA doctor doing your VA report? You know, if you're getting bad vibes from him, you don't want that person unless he's an advocate, because you're supposed to be an advocate for the vet. So you get an extra report to somebody that knows the stuff. Okay. This is Michelle. We just done a scheduled word. Michelle, we're checking on it right now. We'll get it to you. All right. Okay. I have a service connected for interstitial lung disease, 0%. Well, I'm so glad that Jesus healed you. Isn't that wonderful? Now that's just bullshit. My claim was also for rhinitis and sinusitis, where I was denied. Well, you get an extra report, okay? and you want to go and you get someone knows their stuff, so you go back to the day you filed that nexus report and the day you filed for that interstitial lung disease, and make them pay you forward. It's called a Niemeyer. It was the rep that did that. That's a lot of money. So the zero is ridiculous, because if you're having symptoms, it can't be zero. If you have no symptoms and your lung test is normal, then it's zero. But you got it at zero. So if you ever get lung cancer, I'm going to call that lung cancer service connected, and the widow gets a pension. And can I get higher percentage than 0%? Sure, if it's a higher percentage. But not necessarily. I mean, I had a vet wanted to do his glaucoma. I said, no, it's not my opinion. Your glaucoma is service connected, and I'm keeping the $500. I charge $500 per condition. If you have two shoulders, it'd be $1,000. You have a neck and nerve down both arms, it's just one. Or hearing and ringing ears, that's one. Okay? But it's not my medical opinion. But you may be able to find a doctor that it is their medical opinion. You may even be able to find case law that's that, and it won't hurt my feelings. But it's not mine, and it takes longer to say no. Yes, I'm keeping your $500. I may have kept it. I don't know if I did or not. Probably didn't. Okay, the big old softy. Okay, this is, I think we're through.
No, you skipped question 5 from Melissa.
Oh, Melissa. Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa. I have a work-related rotator cuff surgery, impingement. Would that be under arm? Yeah. The arm is from here all the way down. The hand is an arm, an elbow is an arm. It's the arm. If you cut off an arm, and the AMA got under the OWCP Federal Works Comp, it's 312 weeks. So if you cut off an arm, you get 312 weeks times whatever your impairment rating is. Okay. And you cut half an arm, you get 50% of 312. Sure. Doesn't say shoulder. That's what she said. No, it doesn't say shoulder. It's arm. It's a 1916 law. It's and so they've only changed was like you get to pick your doctor. So sure, you get that. That's an easy one. All right. Now, right here, I've got two things I want to show you. Legal medicine has two things you need to know. It's about the duck. What's important? Like here is, can I get a scheduled ward for a shoulder? That's the duck. Not whether they're nice to me, not my feelings hurt, or I want justice this side of heaven. Okay? Now, that's the duck of legal medicine. Focus on what's important. Okay? All right. Now, the other thing is picnic tables. Legal medicine, which is not taught in medical schools, and yet over 50% of litigation requires that training, and I've just had 50 years of it, requires a picnic table. Doctor, this letter says, put it up the phone so I can read it. And I will not answer a question specific about a claim unless I have that whole chart on this desk. Every piece of paper in perfect chronological order. If the chart isn't in perfect order, I won't even look at it because I might miss something. So you keep your records in order. If you go to ellisclinic.com and look up with some of the appointments, you'll show the order you ought to keep them. Do that. It's your baby. Keep your stuff in order. Get yourself notebooks, tab, do it, index, do all that stuff. It's important. It's not on paper, it never happened. So you need a picnic table in legal medicine, and you need to remember what the duck is. Well, I want to do this. Oh, no, we want to win this case. Let's do what needs to be done. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Doc.